Sarah, it's preparing live stream, and it now says the meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. Just before we go any further, let me just go to my phone, see if it comes up there, and then I'll bung a link to you. So what's on your mind? Oh, nothing in my mind. Write a comment. So we'll do that there at SARA at Sara Williams from Bebbington, it says here. Right, so that will go to your page now. So there should be a link on there if anybody wants to go there. And if people want to make comments, by all means, make comments. You can make rude comments if you like. I don't care. Oh, hang on. So have you got something playing in the background there? You might need to turn your volume down. That's it. It's gone off now.
Okay, I think it was you coming through.
How was it?
Yeah. Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
it was your voice.
So, Sarah, nice to meet you. Apparently, we've met somewhere in the past
Nice
doing
to meet
yoga in the beautiful like Brackenwood type area or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know it.
definitely running through Staunton Woods.
Oh yeah, that'll be yeah. So I don't really know much about you. It's just that to tell everybody, my sister Mary, she said I've just come from a session by somebody in Birkenhead, and she's brilliant. And you'll have to get her on your show. She thinks that she's met you before. So I texted you straight away and said, when are you coming on the show? And here you are now. Now, I don't know much about your background. So it's over to you. You know, who are you and where'd you come from, number two?
Okay, so who am I? So my name is Sara Williams, as you all know now here. NouBalm is my wellness brand that has sort of grown and was born from my own mental health illness. I have been a beauty and holistic therapist practitioner for 26 years, but along the sort of way, I had like quite a dark time with my own mental health from a young child, really. So when I was 36, it sort of started coming down quite heavy on me, and I got become quite poorly. And from there, you know, I had to take time out and just sort of stop doing what I was doing, because, you know, how can you do healing therapies with anyone if you need healing yourself? So for endless, you know, trips to the doctor and medication and drinking alcohol and all of these things that I expected someone out there to cure and heal for me, sort of dawned on me that this isn't going to happen. And it was a doctor, funnily enough, who actually still comes to me today. She actually come to my home where I was doing therapies at the time, and she just said, you know, she caught me on that time of dropping, you know, in her arms, and said, you know, you need to heal you like you're healing us, like hence like the aromatherapy therapies I was doing at the time. And, you know, take that small box of oils and go and do what you need to do. And it was that sort of, you know, when you have that aha moment, it's like, oh yeah, I've got the medicine in that box. The doctor will never, ever be able to understand what's wrong with me. Like, I look back now and think I feel for doctors, because we all go in like, yeah, wave your magic wand and make me better, but they can't. You know, they don't know us, they don't know what's gone on in our life. So that was where a massive turning point went on for me. It was difficult, you know, and if I can be honest, I'm still on my healing journey now, because you're always healing. You know, things always come up, traumas may appear again, or things may come up for you that might trigger you. Hence why I still, you know, I'm doing NouYou now and going wider into that sort of field, like with the helping others. So it was that moment I went into, okay, I'm going to clean myself up, internally myself, I've got to go clean. So hence I gave up alcohol, I went plant-based, cleaned up my diet, and binned all the medication from the doctor, and just constantly, still to this day, listen to like podcasts of an evening meditation, anything that will help me and go into the subconscious to try and help it go away. So yeah, with that process, I didn't have much money at the time because I couldn't work, but I just started to save my birthday and Christmas money. And I started to go down to London to learn all about what's in the products I was using, because if these aren't safe for me and my clients, I'm not going to use them anymore. I got like proper obsessed in the end with it. It was like, well, if that's got a chemical in, I'm not going to use that on my body because it's going to hurt me, it's going to harm me, and I'm going completely like halo here, you know, like completely everything around me went green. That we started growing our own food in the garden. We still do that now. It was just, okay, this body is my body and I'm going to look after it because I feel like I've abused it long enough, you know. So that was that sort of journey, and it sort of stemmed from there. I remember, you know, being able to do a few clients again from home and making like little pots of lip balm and just asking clients, would you mind taking this home and, you know, being a guinea pig and trying this product for me? You know, just keep it between us, let us know what happens. And magical things were happening because of the ingredients I chose to invest in were all plant-based, natural, real good swag. You know, so whatever, you know, I'm going to make for you, and I was obsessed with it going into their body. It's got to help them some way. It's got to be healing them. And it's got to do what it says on the label, because all of these brands, these top brands I'd worked with over the years, they didn't work. And you had people coming back saying, well, I've spent 100 quid, you know, why is that not gone off my face? Or why isn't that not working? And because you are sort of brainwashed into selling those products, you know, you're like, well, it does work and it will work, but it didn't. And the reason being, when I went to London, I found out why. And it's because of all the dangerous, harmful chemicals that they put in these products. So when I decided and I was well enough, I was like, okay, so they can go in the bin. I'm not using them anymore on my skin or your skin. And I remember my husband saying, well, what are you going to use? I'm like, I won't work. I don't know. But I was so passionate then about what goes in our body, inhaling, you know, absorbing, you know, ingesting everything. I was obsessed by it. So I was reading everything, going on all of these courses. So it all just started to come together because the clients were coming back a month later with results. I'm like, okay. So there was one blend that I made for myself. It's called the Internal Peace range that we still retail today. And that was my go-to. So when I was rattling each day, I couldn't take my children to school, I was scared of the wind, I would sort of make this blend up and go to the bath, you know, have a lovely bath and just be like a zombie, go to bed. But it was helping me relax, it was calming me down, it was then helping me sleep because I never used to be able to sleep. I had insomnia because of all of the monkey mind going on up here. So that blend today, I still make that blend today. It's one of the biggest sellers. We have a tea for the same range, candle, reed diffuser. So, you know, once I'd sort of got my head around the skincare stuff for my clients, I went on to the home care. So everything that I do create till today, it's healing the body, even if it's a candle, you know, in your office, it's going to calm you or help you sleep at night time, but whatever I do give to anyone and make for anyone, it's going to be healing the internal body as well as making you look lovely and glowy and, you know, what everyone wants out of it, because everyone's conscious of what they're looking at in the mirror and what people see. But with me, with it, it's like, well, dancing, because I know when you use your face, it's going inside your body. So that's just going to help you off those antidepressants, or it's going to help with those anxiety attacks, you know. So I went on like that mission, and that's where NouBalm was born, really. I remember still being at home working, and I was like waiting for my son to start high school really, you know, because I'm not from Wirral, so we sort of had a struggle sort of like, you know, with childcare, so I always work from home in the end with the kids. So it got to the stage, I remember I was walking my dog and I'd done an event at the Palm House, pop-up at the Palm House in Liverpool. So I had all my stock in the car and I hadn't emptied my car the night before because it was late. So I just come in and the next day I walked my dog. And I just remember two people knocking at my door when I got back, and I was like, I wonder who that is. And this lady just turned around with a daughter. I won't mention any names, but they still use it today. I went, are you that girl that does that healing balm for spots, makes spots goes away? Like, you know, could do with some help for my daughter. And it was at that moment I thought, I'm ready to venture out. You know, it's because I was sort of by appointment only. People were finding out where I lived, and I'm like, okay, should I make the leap? And he was due to go to high school. I mean, he's 18 now. So that's when I took the leap and went to Foxton in the clinic. So it was a huge, huge travel from being in that place and not being able to work. My front door to pick my children up to the shops.
You're
Just
cutting out a bit now.
rattling
Sorry, Sarah, you're cutting out a bit now. I don't know if you've got have you got a
minute.
mic on or something like that? Because as you move, it seems to be cutting out a bit. No? No? Everything going right? Ah, you're frozen now. I'm just looking at my thing here. I think everything's going okay this end. It just seems to be that when you move, it's cutting out a bit. Hello? Are you back?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
I've got it. Yeah.
So it sounds so.
Yeah.
So you had mental health problems, okay, and almost. I mean, let me just ask you the question: do you believe that we're being guided by some invisible forces that we can't see, perhaps we can feel, and maybe there's a purpose to our lives? There's a hard question for you straight away.
I know there's more, we are completely more than what we see.
Yeah, me too. My story is quite similar to yours, actually. I was very ill for a long, long time. I took to alcohol. I'm just recently 32 years clean and sober. You know, I tried to do myself in, and on a few occasions quite badly because I just couldn't handle it anymore, and that never worked either. So I reckon that must be some sort of a purpose to my life, and I know that that's a fact now, really. So I believe in spirituality.
Yeah.
I'm not a religious person. I've been religion a long time ago, but I do believe that there's invisible forces that, when called upon, will guide us, not only to help us to get better, but maybe to try and help other people as well. So we're on the same path, really.
Yeah.
I'm very
Yeah.
familiar with the beauty therapy industry because I taught anatomy and physiology for a long time in beauty therapy.
Okay.
Yeah. So I know, I know quite a lot. And I used to teach a lot about skincare as well, and manicures and pedicures and stuff like that. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. And so I'm qualified in Swedish massage, remedial massage.
Would you want a job?
Yeah, I might be calling on you. So
Want
sports
a job?
therapy, exercise treatments, I've got loads of those
Wow.
qualifications as well. And then I came across something called Indian head massage. So I'm a trainer of Indian head massage as well, But also
Wow.
Reiki, I'm a Reiki master.
Yeah.
I've trained a long time in spiritual healing at the local spiritualist church. I've done all sorts of trance mediumship, all these different things, right? But before that,
Wow.
before I got ill, right, I was a senior biomedical scientist at Arrow Park Hospital, you see. So I was just like a scientist, and I didn't know that all this other stuff was like calling on me to pay attention, you know. And I almost see that what's going on in the world now is everybody's cracking up in order that they look in a different place for guidance. And like you've already said, it's all very well looking out there for experts all the time, but the healing, I believe, it's got to come right from where you're pointing there now. That the healing information, when called upon, will actually send us information that we can act upon to heal ourselves, really. Not, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to the medical profession, generally speaking, if it's used in the right amount at the right time for the right thing, you know. But it's when it's pushed upon you all the time and they don't really know what the root cause is, that's when I've got a problem with these sort of things, you know. Just to say this, regarding toxicity, I think that we live in a very, very toxic environment, both outside and both inside as well, you know. And I'm one of those people who I'm supremely sensitive to chemicals that aren't natural. And so when I go to Sainsbury's, about 3 aisles down from the detergents, my nose starts to run and my throat closes, you know. So that's almost like an indication of my innate intelligence telling me that that doesn't work for you, Joe, you know. So consequently, we do a lot of homeopathy. We've got 2 cats and we treat them with homeopathy if they need it. And so we use homeopathy on ourselves as well. So we're definitely on the same wavelength, you know. I noticed that you've, and so I didn't realize that you did all these balms. So I understand what that means now. And you, and can you buy them in buckets, you know, because I might buy our Mary some. She'll be round here in a minute, smacking me across the top. Yeah. No, so go on then. You've got something called NouYou as well, haven't you?
Yeah, so NouBalm is where the manufacturing side of NouBalm. So the NouBalm is NouBalm. So we've got the clinic side. So the therapies all go on within the clinics, and then we've got the NouBalm kitchen where everything is made handmade by myself. Still, I am the only one who makes everything.
Right. And so when you're working individually one-to-one with a client, how do you come to what they need? Is it intuitive or is it from knowledge? How does that work?
It's funny you ask that question, as the doctor who was there at the rescue all those years ago, she actually said to me, how long has she been coming to me? 20 years. I've lived on the Wirral this summer, so call it 18 years I've known her. And she said, every time she's come to see me, which has been monthly, literally, no treatment has ever been the same, but she's always booked in for the same treatment. So I work with how the body is reacting today. So you would be different tomorrow if I saw you today, because we are stripping layers and layers and layers each day of ourselves, aren't we? So I'm a teacher. I've got an accredited training school. It's difficult to teach because I have to have a structure, I have to have a manual, and it's all got to go by the book. But, you know, I was in full flow in Liverpool doing a training school one day, and I could see the module was stifled. My Reiki just switched on completely, and I'm like, she isn't breathing properly. So everything just went out of the window, and a full-on process of Reiki healing took place. Everyone in the room was there, and you know, she just started screaming, crying, and I just had to hold that space for her at that time. Everyone was just like, what on earth has just happened there? But she was holding back that much, but I could feel it. So my teaching went out of the window and the Reiki switched on. And, you know, I have to sort of say to every client now, you know, if I'm doing a facial, I have to say, you know, in the likelihood is that if the Reiki sort of comes through and I need to sort of work somewhere that needs attention, are you actually okay with that? Do I have permission? Like, oh yeah, yeah. So I go with the flow. All kinds happens in that room. we don't know what to expect, but we leave it all in the room and cut ties and get on with our day. But it's I'm doing a lot of the somatic healing at the moment as well, so the Kundalini stuff. So that's really delving deep into my healing modalities, but I am doing it for myself. But obviously, it's channeling its way into my treatment room as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of sort of spontaneous Kundalini awakenings happening to people because of this great shift in consciousness. But there's almost like a responsibility for those people who are activating it before time as well. So I'm quite big on this, really, because we're personally responsible for what we choose for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that you can activate it before you're ready, really, unless you understand how to handle your emotional state, right, through breathing and through movement and through things like Tai Chi and Reiki healing and stuff like that. So lots of people come to me who've had spontaneous Kundalini awakenings, and it's driving them mad. You know, they're almost gone psychotic, right? Because that's where I was in 1987.
Yeah.
This is what happened to me. I had a spontaneous, massive Kundalini awakening, right? And I was 6 weeks in the psychiatric department because, you know, because it was so powerful. So I was medicated, and it was only over time, once they started to wean me off, and then I got in touch with other people, that they explained what was actually happening to me was a spiritual awakening, you know. And then they showed me over time now, over 30 years ago, how every time I feel emotionally disturbed, I have to step back now, allow some space to come in, and almost get in touch with my intuition to say, what is it that you're trying to show me here? You know, and it's all part, to me, right? And I won't, no holds barred, it's all part of emotional growing up as well, really, you know. So I've had to sort of go through every fear that I've ever had. You know, if some people call it working with the inner child, but I've had to go through and take actions to almost like neutralize the fear and to go forward, you know. And some people call this ascension. I'm not really in favor of the term ascension, because I see it more of like a spherical thing, where sometimes you've got to fill this bit in at the bottom here before that bit at the tops get better. So I don't see it like a ladder. I see it more like a globe, you know what I mean? So I don't know what, so that's what I was talking about. I mean, I've been invited in September to go over and do a weekend workshop in Barcelona. And my PhD, you know, is a medical PhD. And it's really about how breathing affects the way that the heart works, and how the heart works affects the way that your head works. So it's turning everything upside down, really. So rather than thinking our way into health, it's really about allowing our heart through feelings to guide us back to clear thinking, you know. So, and I noticed that, you know, part of your thing is about Nidha yoga as well, yoga, which is about sort of finding that space between, I call it that space. It's like an alpha theta brainwave state, really. It's it's the sort of a middle way between frantic and completely asleep. You know what I mean? So it's almost like it's like
bringing people out of their heads.
That's it. And you know, and out of their head, and sort of halfway between their head and their heart, really, there's like a space where everything sort of settles out, like a 0 point, really. And I help people into that as well, you know. So we're definitely doing the same things, and we're definitely, as far as I feel, on the right path, you know. I've noticed that you call your Reiki angelic Reiki. Do you want to say why it's like posh and it's got an angelic Reiki?
So the angelic Reiki is part of NouYou. So NouYou CIC and Wellbeing is my community interest company that I founded nearly a couple of years ago now. So the NouBalm was the wellness the CIC is the Wellbeing. So the Angelic Reiki is held on week 1 of our free transformational programs. What Mary was on, your sister, she was on our cancer care program, and we also do one for grief and bereavement. That was like me, so I'm out to help all mums out there who are suffering like me. I lost my stepmom and my stepdad to cancer, both similar situations. So that's where the cancer side come from. And the grief and bereavement, I don't believe anyone ever gets over losing a loved one.
No.
That massively
No.
then affects your mental health. So that's where my 3 cohorts come from. So on week 1, we hold angelic Reiki and theta healing. So that is another practitioner who does that session. It's very good. Like you say, it's bringing people out of their heads. So by week 6, we've brought them right down into their heart space. We've opened them up. So within 6 weeks, we're crawling along with these beautiful ladies, and it's like transformation. You know, some ladies, when they come in, seeing these people when they first walk in to how they leave us 6 weeks later, it's like we're doing something right here. So I brought all of these practitioners together, and a lot of them have helped me on my healing journey, so I can trust that I can give this out to the community. Like, look, these girls have been here for me, and we are all here for you. We are still self-funding. We have had no government funding whatsoever. You know, I rely on locals using the space for yoga, meditation, sound healing, ladies' circles, and things like that to pay the rent and the bills, because a CIC is just like a limited company like NouBalm. So we still get the accountant bills, we still get the utility bills to pay. But the results, like Mary will tell you, that we've had, I think 58 ladies now we've worked with. Some we've lost along the way, but the reviews we've had from these ladies, knowing that at the end of their life, that 6 weeks, how much joy and peace it brought them before they did descend and things, is we're doing something right. So it's like, why not continue to do this? You know, I don't know how long we'll be able to continue to do it, because of bills, like the electricity at the moment at NouYou is sky high because it's cold, so we're heating on, and we're not getting any money. So it's like, well, let's just keep doing what we're doing till we can, and go from there. But the angelic Reiki, yeah, is week 1, and then week 2 we have crystal sound healing. Week 3 we have movement and mantra. Week 4 we move into hypnotherapy. Week 5 we've got yoga nidra, and then week 6 I run like a skincare, self-care, mirror work, love yourself first kind of breath work, meditation, bringing them all around the table to love who they are. A lot of these ladies can't look in the mirror, so we're bringing them back to themselves, and by that stage they're really out of their head, and they're really sitting into their heart space. And some of these ladies, like one lady, she never leaves the house, you know. And there's been times I've got emotional, like really emotional, so a lot's come up for me, and it's taught me so much. Other facilitators have got upset because we're human. It's like, look, we're just like 6 women here trying to help you, and if we feel from this session, we'll feel from this session. So what goes on here will stay here, but what is going on there is a beautiful thing, you know. So that's, sometimes I forget about my day job because I'm like hooked up into that, but because it's so beautiful, pure simple healing, it's just beautiful to
No,
keep offering
I
what we're
think it's
doing.
I think it's brilliant, you know. And if there's anybody, because my hope was that this will go out on the Wirral, and people may hear it and be able to help in some way, you know. Because I do feel I love the Wirral. I was born in Seacombe myself, you know, and I always say that woo woo works wonders for well-being on the Wirral. You know what I mean? Because what I'm
I love
trying to do,
that.
I'm trying to bring in a
Love that.
scientific approach to how woo woo works. You know what I mean? And I do
Woo
that,
woo is so good.
yeah, and you know, and because I've worked in medicine for such a long time, and I've heard all the sort of derogatory remarks from my professional colleagues. But in the end, I work on them slowly, and I've had a load of them come into Tai Chi with me and yoga and all those sorts of things, you see. So there's like an underground current going on where some of them are getting more into this now. The other thing is that doctors and nurses in the NHS, they're that stressed now. They're all taking time off work, so they're actually going now to these woo-woo therapies. There's nothing finer.
Well, they are.
Yeah, there's nothing finer than an aromatherapy massage with some clary sage. And just like slobbering for about 1.25 hours on a massage table. I honestly believe
we get a lot of slobber.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So slobbering's good, and they come out and they're all embarrassed because they've made such a show of themselves because they've relaxed, but in that process their heart jumps in. I feel that their soul comes back online, and it almost starts to send them information. Like, when they say things like, do you know what? I've never thought of that. And you think, so it's like inspirations come to them out of the blue. And then if they can maintain that connection, then they'll start to think in a different way. So my job's to really help them.
Nothing. You
Go on,
can't
love, sorry.
create when you're busy in the head.
No.
You can't create. So people say to me, how do you do what you do? How have you done what you have done? And it's like, well, I had to come out of my head. So I stopped drinking alcohol. I couldn't drink alcohol now and go and make products at 5 a.m. that have got to be measured by every last drop of aromatherapy oil that's going to be used on someone's body, because they could react to that oil. Like you say, clary sage, we work heavily with that product. So I've created my healing and wellness teas. So if they have a detox massage that I've made that oil, blended it, they've got to have that tea to balance and ground. They can't leave the salon before grounding, because legally they're all over the place. They have to come down, come back into reality, because like you say, they're banging off the walls when we finish with them, which is amazing. One lady said to one of the therapists the other day, I've never felt that relaxed. She was as good as crying because she just switched her down, like turned her off. And I don't know if you've been into NouBalm, but you should visit. So soon as you come in, you take that weight. The weight's just gone. Even just sitting there, it's like we're taking you away from the external chaos that's going on outside, and you feel it as soon as you walk in. And that's where we need to be. We're just in this crazy world of doing. It's like we don't have to be doing. We
I
do,
agree,
but
and
not all of the time.
I think the world, whether it's a setup, the world wants us to go faster and faster, so we can't think deeply enough. You know what I mean? So part of my job is to help people to get the courage from their heart and soul to start saying, no, I need a bit more time. Give me some more time to think about that. And then when someone tries to push it on you, you can say, no, I really need a bit more time to think about that. And on the third one, you just punch them in the nose. You know what I mean? Punching with love. But no, on the
With
aromatherapy
love.
side, just to anybody who doesn't understand, I'll just say that because you're fully qualified and licensed, that you're allowed to actually mix these concoctions together. Generally speaking, you can go to places like, I used to call it the Body Shop or Holland and Barrett's, and you can buy already blended stuff, can't you? But you actually use the natural essential oils, and you mix them because you're qualified
100%
and
natural.
insured to do so. I'm the same, Sarah.
Uninsured.
I've got like a £6 million medical indemnity assurance, and I have to go through a full consultation thing before I actually work on anybody. So it's important to know that we've spent many, many years in training, so we do have some indication of what's going on, really. Can I also say
Well,
that,
it's your medicine,
exactly.
it's helped so many people off medication. It's helped like young girls come off Roaccutane for their acne who were literally going on antidepressants because they won't go to school, and they've just been using a facial home kit. They're glowing, they're off the medication, they're full of confidence. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You need to know what you're putting into your body.
And I think working in groups with people who've actually been a bit further along in the process is useful. It's like a buddy system, really. You know, I've set up many men's groups over the years, you know, over 30 years. I was a group leader for 20 years in a specific group, you know, and it was basically mostly men, and trying to encourage men to really get back in touch with their emotional side, you know, and to express it. So we've got like big fellas there with six packs and everything else telling us that they're afraid of the, you know, the dark. You know, I was 38 years of age before I could go to sleep with, you know, unless I was drunk, you know, before I could put the light off because I was still terrified, you know. So it's silly things like this. And it's just sharing honestly about it, really. That really helps, I think, more than anything else.
Being honest.
I honestly
just
feel
be
that the way,
honest. Just be true.
yeah, exactly, because the way the world is, I mean, it's bloody crazy the way the world is and the way it's going. And I think in the end, we're gonna have to start working in a community in order to try and help one another, you know. And my whole thing is, it's called a strength-based approach, where you work with what's strong in a person and not with what's going wrong with the person, because I think that our souls have individual sort of sets of skills. Yours will be different to mine. That will be pointless me learning what you can do. So why don't I do what I do? You do what you do.
Together.
And exactly. And I think that's the way it's going to be, really. But unfortunately, and this is a big bugbear of mine, is the standard educational system that we've got. It picks upon what you're not naturally good at, and it tries to force you to become better at that. It exhausts you. It makes you miserable, right? And it's all part of a great big setup, I think, to keep us in place. Because I'm like big on this stuff, you know what I mean? So I think more and more now, people and parents are beginning to see that maybe the educational system needs to change, and that people need to go back to nature, their own innate intelligence, and much more play and less mathematics. What do you think about that?
Definitely. I always say, like, to everybody that I know, like, I come across it daily, like, every single day you say, "How are you?" And when you say it, you can see the shoulders drop. They're like, they're not good. Everybody who comes through the door is stressed. So that's what I've created with NouBalm. I've got loads for you today. Where can I start here? You know, because why are you stressed? Well, a lot of the time, 70% of the time, it's their job. So I say, well, you choose to be at that job. Well, I need to pay for the mortgage, I need to pay for the bills, but there's other ways to pay for the bills. You know, if you're not happy in anything in your life, you can change that. You're your leader of your life. You are writing your own book. Change it up, change the chapter, and 90% of the time, how better you will feel when you're happy at work. Like, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing in my job if I wasn't happy. It's not like work. When I'm there at 5 in the morning, making products till 8, then I go to therapies till 5, then I go to the charity at 5. I'm like 24/7 because I'm so passionate to help other people. It's not like working, but why don't you go and find something you're passionate about that lights you up and makes your vibration high?
I agree.
Do that.
I agree. And if you look back to your earliest days, what did you get lost in when you were a child? Because it'll be connected to that, really. So it's the click back, reconnect with that earliest part of you and the thing that you loved doing and you got lost in, and start doing it again. It doesn't matter how old you are, but once you link back into that flow, it's almost like an invisible force guides you then as to what your next step is, you know. And I agree with you. Most people I work with, right, they're just leading a half-hearted life. And that's why I drank, Sarah, because
100%.
I was in a job. It was a responsible job. It was well paid. We had 3 holidays a year. We had a few cars and a big house and all that. All the stuff that looked on paper to be a success. But I was dying on the inside. And that's because my soul was shouting out to me, "Hey, you, right? You know, you need to look at this side of your life because there's half of you that's not paying attention, you know. And in the end, I had to be sort of brought to my knees to get the message, you know. And I think part of illness is
I
an
get that.
indication
Yeah.
to say to you, hang on a second, you're out of alignment with who you really are here. So we're gonna sort of bamboozle you for a bit and send you some information in your head while we've got you to see if you can't take different actions, you know. And that's what's happened to us, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
100%. Yeah.
so many different things. So are you a vegan then?
Yes, I am now. I am completely, I've gone that way now that if it's not from the ground, if it's not sort of from Mother Earth, if it's not been blessed and given with love, I just drink water with lemon and the teas that I've produced, my NouBalm teas, I drink them daily. I'm all about just niceness, just clean, healthy. You know, I look at a photograph of me 15 years ago to now, I'm like, you know, I'm sorry. You know, I'm sorry for abusing you, for neglecting you, for not loving and caring for you. You know, I've took hold of her now. It's like I've got you now. I might nearly be 50, but we've got this. We've still got time. We can have fun. And it's funny you say. I've just been on a 10-week program, and I've like started drawing, and it took me right back to the childhood. I birthed my own drum, like a ceremony drum. So I've been doing a little bit of drumming and, you know, doing things that I loved as a little girl. And most of the time I was told, be quiet,
Yeah.
you know, do your homework, be good, go to bed, it's time for your bath. And it was always like, you know, like, where are we here? What are we allowed to do? What can't we do? You're always getting shut down. Now I've got like this, that's like obviously the work I'm doing now. I feel like I'm so excited, you know. I'm like, well, what can I do today? You know, like in my own little world. I'm like, oh yeah, I've got to work. I have got products to make, and one of the girls will say, "Oh, we've run out of this." I'm like, oh yeah, I've got to come back to reality a bit because I'm getting lost in this wonderland of, like, I'll go to Staunton Woods with the dog, and I'll just be like, wow, like, look at this place, you know. It's like everything's open and light and bright and beautiful. Like, I'm so grateful, Joe, for the journey. I can't say it's been easy. It's been a real difficult one, like bringing kids up. They're adults now, but here we are, still here. I can tell the tale, but how many others I'm helping along the way. And I feel like I've only just started, to be fair. I feel like now I'm at the stage of the work I'm doing. What do you want me to do? What is my job? What is my purpose? What am I doing here? You know, so far so good. You know, I feel happy when I go to sleep at night, you know, helping the cancer side still. I still do the 1 free complimentary treatment for anyone affected by cancer. I was too busy to work at Maggie's in the end. I couldn't do it anymore when I took the salon. So now, you know, I've got something in the pipeline coming in August. So all fingers crossed with that's going to plummet then into the cancer side of the brand. So that well, so I'm on a journey for me, and I believe I always will be. But I'm like, who can I help along the way? And whoever I meet, I'm meant to meet. If I don't meet, I'm not supposed to meet.
I
I don't
agree.
go
I
out of
mean,
my way to.
what you said there, I believe that I'm only ever scratching the surface of what's possible here. You know, I used to think I know a lot, and
It's limitless.
I realize every morning now I haven't got a clue what's going on about anything really. So I do the same as you. I put my hand on my heart and say, what's on the cards today?
Oh,
And then I just
today. What are we doing?
wait, and it's sort of like it emerges from here, and it's just here. Why don't you do that? Or I get a few ideas, you know. Because if it's not joyful, I don't want to do it anymore, Sarah. You know,
No.
I've retired somewhat from my academic career, you know, and I'm going to be starting doing my own workshops on the Wirral and far, you know, so I'll be setting a few workshops up as well. And you know, that's something I didn't think I was going to do that, but because of financial circumstances and because things haven't worked out as I planned them, I sort of feel like I'm getting myself out there a bit more now. So I'll be doing a bit of
Well,
that stuff.
we've got NouYou. We've got NouYou. You can use our space, and we're
Right.
really good rates as
All right.
well.
All
So it's a
right.
beautiful studio.
So I'll
Give
have to
us a
come and see
shout.
it then, won't I? I'll have to come down and meet you in the
Yeah,
flesh.
yeah,
But
mm,
let me talk about
yeah.
other things. So, you know, we sort of little talked a bit about angelic Reiki. Where are you with all these sort of psychic arts, you know, like tarot reading and all that sort of stuff? Are you into that side of things at all?
I don't do actual tarot reading, but when I do my Reiki healing, I do use oracle cards
Okay.
and work with the angels with the Reiki. So I will work closely with the cards, and I believe that when you ask someone how are you, and they're too busy in their monkey mind to even know what that means, when we pull a card, I will have spoken to them, and obviously my energy's feeling into, and this is coming up for me now, is that correct? And they'll say yes, 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 yes. Then we'll pull the card at the end of our chat, and the card will just say what I've said. And like, so the card is like a guide for you today, from Creator, God, your light, your source, whatever you may feel. The universe is quite trending right now, whatever you want to call it. And I always ask people to take a photograph, because if that doesn't resonate with you today, it may do in 2 days, because this healing will continue to work for you within your energy when you leave me. And 9 times out of 10, the card resonates and they're like, wow, that's exactly what you've just said. I'm like, I know, because that's what's coming through for the healing for you. But then if something doesn't resonate, you can always guarantee, Joe, that someone will message you and go, Sara, the card. And I'm like, I know. I
Yeah.
know, but it's nice that they know too.
I started off my spiritual healing training at the local at Rock Ferry Spiritualist Church actually. And in there,
Okay.
you know, it's quite responsible and quite the guidelines are very sort of restrictive, as they should be. And when I was doing the healing, I used to get messages coming up, you know, and we weren't allowed to give messages while we were healing because, you know, it's like crossing boundaries and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I'm going to be dead honest about it. I don't know. I just get a feeling and I just go with it, you know, because I try and keep my mind out of the way, and it's almost like the information comes up from my soul or whatever this. And as soon as you label something, you can start to try and work out what it is then. So I just tend to work with the feelings again, you know. And what they
Yeah.
told me was when I was doing the psychic side of things is just give what you get, give what you get, right?
Yeah.
But my head wants to jump in and it says, oh, I can't say that. What will they think? You know, but it doesn't do that anymore. So if I'm
Mm.
working with somebody, I'll say, I don't know why I'm thinking these things, but um, does this mean anything to you? And it's amazing how many times, you know, and if that's not an indication of that there's more going on in this world than we can possibly realize, then I don't know what is, you know. I remember once working with somebody and she was, you know, for various reasons, she was very upset. And I said, I don't know why. And I was getting this banana, and I said, does a banana mean anything to you? She said no. And I got, give the message clearly, Joe. And it was a blue banana, right? I said to her, does a blue banana mean anything to you? And she just burst into tears because that was her father's favorite joke, right? And I couldn't possibly have known that, you know. And so these are all the
No.
things. When I came out of the scientific side of things and got into this other, the woo-woo side, right? It's brought me to so many amazing places, you know, and I don't doubt it now. And what happens to me now is I don't look at books now or videos or whatever for information. I get confirmation
It's in
from them.
here.
Yeah, so it comes from here
Yeah.
first. And then maybe tomorrow I'll look at something and it'll say exactly the same thing about 10 times. And I think that's good, that the way they do that, you know.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
worked a lot
You
with the
get your
cap.
signs, don't you?
Yeah.
You get your signs.
But
Yeah.
that's it. And I spent a lot of time studying the Kabbalah, you know, the mystical Kabbalah or the Kabbalah. And I've worked with
Yeah.
loads and loads of different angelic, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Angelic information, you know. And there's one archangel that I work with called Sandalphon. And I didn't know anything about this, you know, but Sandalphon is basically attached to Mother Earth, you know. And I got working with him, right, or her, or I don't know whether it's a him or a her or whatever, you know, it doesn't matter. But I was like intoning this word Sandalphon, Sandalphon, and it was almost like I got this like force, you know, and I got clear guidance that I needed to get my feet back on the earth, right? Because mostly my feet were planted in the clouds, you know. So I know. So grounding, centering and grounding now, physically and energetically.
Very important.
Very, very.
Very important.
Because as I was saying, if
Yeah.
people feel that they've got this chronic inability to relax, they probably need to get down to New Brighton, take their shoes and socks off, go paddling and all that sort of stuff, and try and imagine that all their energy that's trying to drive their head mad is to try and breathe it down through the soles of their feet and right into the center of the earth. And it's amazing how just 5 minutes of that can clear space in your mind, and you get better thoughts coming in. Then very, very simple techniques, you know. And to breathe deeply and slowly from the heart, right? Or even from the tummy, you know, the solar plexus. And also as you breathe out is push it downwards again, you know. And that's what I try and help people with. So simple, practical things.
Yeah, simple. Just even like mastering that breath, the breath work, you know, a few rounds in and I think a lot of the time, well, knowing by my own experience, that's what scares people, you know, because they're frantic and on a Friday, they go to the pub and they're just not sitting still. So once they sit still, you find it with retirement. So everyone loses it when they retire, and that's because they've stopped, and it's like, oh, I don't know who I am, what am I, what's going on, and you know, that's where you find a lot of people become really poorly, because they have got no distractions anymore. Yeah.
Well, I'm supposed to have retired, but I've never been bloody busier in my life, you know. I still teach at Edgehill University, you know. I still teach over there as an associate lecturer. Yeah, so I do quite a lot. I'm just in the middle of marking at the moment. It's so bloody boring, you know what I mean? So I have to get up every 40 minutes, have a stretch, go out, take a few breaths, and then go back to it, you know. But I'm still doing that, right? But as I say, I'm getting the push now to start doing some workshops and things like that. Basically, it will be all about the neuroscience of woo-woo, because that's what my PhD is about. It's really about how the way that we breathe and the quality of our breath. So it's breathing a positive feeling at 6 breaths per minute, right? And what that does is, because yoga means union, it causes the yin and the yang of your nervous system to get into that alpha theta state. So that's what yoga nidra is, really. It's getting into that, like you call it, theta healing, but it's in that alpha theta state where your yin and your yang and your masculine and your feminine, they stop having a go at each other and they start reconnecting and loving each other once again, you know. And I think what's happened is the masculine side of our nature has had its own way for eons of time now. And it's now time to let the sacred feminine come in a more compassionate and recuperation and nurturing way. I think that's what this great big shift is. So how can we fast track it, get our heads out of the way? It's almost like you need to take your head off, throw it away, and just start feeling your way through the heart, really. What do you think about that?
Move out of your own way, like literally move out of your own way. Like the obstacles standing in your way, it's not others, it's not external things, it's you. You know, and once I realised that, like you are your own dark shadow, just shift out of your own way, things just become clearer, you know, and not like obviously the dissolving of blocks in the energy work and removing those blocks and those things you believe are true that are stuck to your energy. Where do you think it's all gone when you suppress these emotions and these fears and these traumas that they're stuck in the body? So it's like, let's get this out. Let's remove this energetically. And yeah, it might be uncomfortable, it may be dark, and like I teach everybody on the NouYou, it's like that we go through so many tissues on week one. Someone hadn't cried for ever, and she sobbed that day, and I was like, happy, happy, happy. She's looking at me, it's like, say, is she for real? It's like, we've had a really good day today. You don't realize how powerful emotion releasing is.
Yeah.
You know, if you had diarrhea or you wanted to vomit, you would do it because it's purging. The body wants you to release something out of your body. So when we want to cry, and we'll just hold it in because Dr. Joe's watching, so I won't cry. Where do you think it's going? That energetically, all of those years, we're stifled with emotion. It's
I
like
agree.
cry I love crying. I cry all the time for no reason. I don't need a reason, but I feel better because it's a cleanse out of your body, isn't it?
I agree. I couldn't agree more. I mean, and I teach certain breathing techniques that can actually help people to get in touch with deeply
Right.
buried emotions, and we do certain breathing techniques where we can be on our fours, get in touch with the solar plexus, and also it almost like starts howling like wolves, and then the tears
Yeah.
flow then and stuff like that. But if we can do it, I mean,
Yeah.
I do this primal screaming in groups as well, which is where you get really in touch with your root and your sacral chakra, and you sort of start breathing deeply into there and then allow it to come up and transform through the heart. So I've taken groups
Love
up to
that.
like Hilbury Island, but first thing in the morning when there's nobody else around, and just really start letting it,
Howling like
yeah,
wolves.
howling.
Love
And what
that.
happens is some people laugh hilariously because they think it's funny. Some people crying their legs off. Some people are looking as if to say, what's going on with me? But in the end, we all end up laughing. And it has
Yeah.
such a powerful transformational effect. There's so many, many
Oh,
different ways, honestly. So it's really, if
yeah.
people can like listen in and maybe join local groups or go and see Sara. I was calling you Sarah because I'm from Seacombe, you know what I mean? Go and see Sara. She'll put you in
Yeah.
the right direction.
Yeah.
What else was I going to say?
Definitely.
So we talked about angels. These are things that I'd never obviously when I was a child, I was very into all this. But what about extraterrestrial intelligences? Where are you up to with them?
In what sort of format? What
Well, I
what
mean,
sort of
do you have any contact with extraterrestrial intelligences at all?
the work I'm doing at the minute, it's yeah, massively. It's blowing my mind. So there's a huge story. People who know me know this story. And I was due to go to Bali um in April, and I'd looked forward to this trip. I'd booked this trip. I was going solo. I've never done this before because I was too anxious. I was a big girl now, and going on this trip and having a break as well. But I was going to do the trauma release sort of program and a retreat, and it all got completely stopped because of the floods in Dubai. Um, the Emirates, all the situation, and I had a full on another awakening, if you like, in Manchester Airport. I just went and sat down, and there was chaos. People were crying, kicking off. There was hundreds of people there, but to me, there was no one. There was just me, and it was so peaceful. I'm like, okay, I'm not supposed to be going to get healed. I'm supposed to be healing. I'm the one supposed to be doing this work for others. I don't need this work. I must be a lot far further on than I actually imagined, because I've been working on myself for about 12 years now, heavily into it, done all sorts with the self-healing thing. So as I've come away, I'm like, okay. So I messaged her. I said, I'm not going to make it. She said, you seem really calm. I said, yeah. She said, oh, yeah, well, you can come anytime, but I don't refund. I said, no, the moment's gone now. I don't believe I need to be healed, but can I actually be a facilitator? I saw that you offer this. And She said, normally, no, you have to come. She said, but if I'll do an online activation with you to see how you react to the energy. Well, I thought, if that's not enough to have reacted to that energy, I don't know what I'd have to do to get onto this program. So still to this day, I'm sitting thinking, did that happen? Did that just happen? Did that actually happen? So now I know, and I've been doing it for about 6 weeks now. Now I know we are so much more than this. It's like Holy Mary. Wow.
Holy Mary,
But
well,
I know 12 years ago, Holy Mary, Mary, Mary. I know 12 years ago, I wouldn't have been ready for this energy because, like you say, it's powerful. It's on another level. Is the light language is coming in and all kinds is going on. So all being well, I believe now 100% that I had to do NouBalm, I had to do NouYou to do this at the beginning. Probably the end of this year, I'll be practicing like a practitioner, maybe the beginning of the year because we're busy in November, December in the salons. But I believe I had to do all of this for the community to trust me to work and do this modality because this is going to be on another level. But I've got to work on myself for 6 months first.
yeah. There's no coincidences.
So
The
I'm
reason I
like,
asked you
I'm
that
doing
question
it.
is, just to confirm that I can feel that that's going on because this was all new to me. I mean, the light language, I've done light language all my life, right? But I just thought it was like messing around and stuff like that, And when it comes, when it comes through, it's but what I'm finding out now is because there's 12 potential skills that all human beings have, they're all connected to a different frequency or
Yeah,
tone of light language. I didn't know any of this sort of stuff.
yeah,
So there's different light codes that come through in colors. There's different sounds. And if you can get it right, you can actually help people to de-obstruct all the problems that they've ever, and then their whole mind
yeah,
changes then. And they start to see the world in a much
yeah.
more positive way. And I think people like ourselves,
But
because
isn't that magical? Like,
absolutely,
isn't that
absolutely.
magical? Like again, you're gonna do this to help yourself, but you're gonna have a knock-on effect. It's like, come to me, I can do this for you. It's beautiful. Like,
But I
let's
have
knock
to.
all the barriers down and the fears and the
But
all
you've
of
almost
that,
like, haven't you?
you
You've almost
know.
like got to get over yourself, haven't you? And just to let it happen, really. And that's what I feel. Our guidance is that strong
Surrender.
now, and these sort of
Mm,
conversations are confirmational, really. And I think people who sometimes watch
mm,
this think that's been happening to me. You know what I mean? And it's just a little indication
yeah,
of that people are opening
yeah,
up, and all sorts of
mm,
gifts, if you like, are being sort of not presented to them because they were always there. It's just that we've suppressed and repressed all this stuff, and now we're not allowed to anymore because we're being pushed up. All the stuff's being pushed up, and it's saying basically, will you just be yourself, right? Be
but we
yourself.
are our own gift. Be
Exactly,
yourself.
exactly.
Just be.
So there's
Just
nothing to get
be.
hold of.
Surrender.
There's
Just
nothing to get hold of. There's
no.
just everything to
There's
let go of,
not.
really. Right. And
It's
then
in
we'll be
here.
left with who we really are. See,
Yeah.
now we're going. Now we're up. But I have this big thing is I don't know what it means, but I get this thing about Sirius C. The plan, there's a binary star A and B, but I get this that I'm being guided by Sirius C, whatever that means. But for some reason, I seem to be get this information. Now, I don't normally talk about this, when I'm doing my teaching in postgraduate medicine at Edge Hill University.
That's woo woo.
Yeah,
Woo
but
woo.
that's why I'm sort of being guided, if you like, by my intuition to bring this through in simple
Yeah.
scientific steps
Mm.
now to do with the nervous system. So all my work's really about the autonomic nervous system and how that's where all the
Nice.
programs are that need to be let go of, really. And I can see
Mm.
that I've been a programmed automaton most of my life. And basically, I had to go through all that illness to get to the understanding of, rather than looking out, I just had to start looking inwards. So if anyone's listening to this and they start like, well, and all sorts of stuff starts coming through, it's a good thing. Sing, open it up, do a bit of primal.
And you're not weird when you think, I'm not weird, I am weird. I like being weird.
I feel weird. I'm so glad. The more weird I feel, the more free I feel. And it's almost as if we've been duped. We've been duped into believing, right, that the world's one thing, but in actual fact, it's completely and utterly another thing.
We're the other.
Yeah. Sarah, my love, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Right. I think we've only
so much, Joe.
Oh no, it's a pleasure, love. Nice to meet you.
Scratch the surface.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So I will come down in time when the time's right and meet you in the flesh.
Yeah.
And see what transpires from there. So I hope everybody's enjoyed that. You know, I've got a few of my friends on here making rude comments, so that's okay.
Don't know what we're saying, but
no idea.
okay.
No idea. That's the best way, isn't it? Just letting it come out. So carry on the good work, my love, and hopefully, as I say,
Joe.
I'll get to come and see you, and maybe we'll have another one of these down the line and see how we're improving.
Yeah, and amazing. Thank you for having me, Joe.
By all means, if you've got like a link or something, if you bung it in the chat, if people want to get in touch with you.
I'll put the NouBalm and I'll put the NouYou link in the chat. So if anyone wants help or the links are there, feel free to sign up.
Love, been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thanks very much.